Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I'll share the verse and then we'll get started shortly. Thank you for joining us. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please join us for the invocation prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriyet Shavatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shamana Kirtanaha Hridayantastho Bhadrani Vidunoti Swahsatam Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Shloke Bhaktir Bhavti Naistiki. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for joining us in today's session where we are discussing gems from Srimadbhagavatam. We are currently on Canto 8, Chapter 5, where we started last week. And here we are discussing some amazing pastimes as how humility is such a wonderful ornament of the Vaishnavas, and when sometimes even the materialists, they don't like to bow down, they are also humbled. Hare Krishna. So please join us in the recitation of this verse, Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th Canto, Chapter 5, verse 21. Aham bhavo yuyam mato asuradayo manushya triyagya dhruma garma jatayaha Yasyavataram Shatkala Visarjita Vrajam Sarve Sharanam Tam Avyayam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Lord Brahma said, I, Lord Shiva, all of you demigods, the demons, the living entities born of perspiration, the living beings born of eggs, the trees and plants sprouting from the earth, and the living entities born from embryos, all come from the Supreme Lord, from his incarnation as Rajoguna, Lord Brahma, the Gunavatar, and from the great sages, rishis, who are part of me. Let us therefore go to the Supreme Lord and take shelter of his lotus feet. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Some creatures are born from embryos, some from perspiration, and some from seeds. In this way, all living entities emanate from the Gunavatar of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ultimately, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the shelter of all living entities. Hare Krishna. Please join us in reciting Srila Prabhupada Pranati so we can all get the blessings. Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripa tadaham vande shri gurum dina taranam. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So, let me give you a recap of what has happened till now and why Lord Brahma is speaking in this manner to the demigods. Indra was on his carrier, the elephant. Aravat has not come yet. Yes, because churning of the ocean hasn't occurred yet. So he is on his elephant, and Durvasa, Sage Durvasa, he's in a very ecstatic mood, very happy, and he sees, he's walking, and they're crossing each other. So he sees Indra on his elephant, and he's wearing a beautiful garland of lotus flowers. So he offers this garland to Indra. Indra doesn't refuse it, he takes it. But then he's being careless. So this is a story about carelessness. Sometimes we are like no, not so mindful, right? And mindful is a big topic in today's time. So he, being careless, gives it to his elephant. An elephant takes it on his trunk and throws it onto the ground and smashes it with its four limbs. Now we all know Durvasa. He's an expansion of Lord Shiva. He becomes very angry. And he says that all your opulences will be lost. Indra, you are very proud of yourself. So all your opulences will be gone. Now that's a moment of shock for Indra. He just got cursed. And this curse is coming from Sage Durvasa, who's an incarnation of Lord Shiva, Mahadev. It's not a simple personality. It's not a common personality. It's a very important personality. And at that time, what was happening? That demigods and demons, they were in a fight. They were battling for supremacy. And anytime, demigods get cursed or they don't have the support, the demons become very powerful and they attack the demigods. And that's what they did. They used their snake weapons and they attacked the demigods and they defeated the demigods. And so now the demigods have been kicked out of their kingdom. So understand at this particular time what has happened. And they have approached Lord Brahma and given him complete accord of what has happened, right? Sometimes we have the tendency, all these things, again, we were doing so nicely, but then what's the tendency when you lose something? There may be some tendency to say, oh, it wasn't my fault, It's just that the other party cheated. That's one way of looking at it. Sometimes there is a tendency to point fingers to others. Yes. Somebody could even, Siddha could even point fingers to Durvasa, not paying attention that he was careless. He did not honor the garland properly. He was not being mindful. That's also very important as how we are acting. And earlier today, we were studying Srimadbhagavatam, where this beautiful verse kept coming back. Yat karoshi yadashnasi yad juhoshi tadasi yat tapasyasi kante tat Kṛṣṇa Katha. So today we'll be diving deeper into this particular verse as well. Yat karoshi means whatever you do. Yadashnasi, whatever you eat. Yad juhoshi, whatever you offer. Dadasi, whatever you give away. Yat tapasyasi, whatever austerities you perform. Tat Kṛṣṇa Katha. Oh my dear Arjun, make it as an offering to me. So Lord Krishna is telling this to Arjuna on the battlefield. Now let's look at this situation that the demigods have come to Lord Brahma. And they are saying that we have been defeated by the demons and we need your guidance to help us give direction. Now, there are different kind of roles somebody could take. One of the role is that you should have done this and you should have done that, right? That's another way of, in a subtle way, if person is just showing that, then it's not truly an acharya. Acharya means one who shows by his example. And that's also, acharya is very close to the word leader. Leader leads by example. Leader develops people as leaders. Leaders build leaders. Srila Prabhupada many times in the purport says the Brahmanas are not just supposed to be engaged in ritualistic ceremonies and so forth. They are supposed to be creating more Brahmanas. And what do Brahmanas do? They take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And they bring other people to the shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's how they make Brahmanas, by their examples, by their way of passing on that message. And Lord Brahma, he is not saying that you go to Durvasa Muni and beg for forgiveness. He's not saying that you guys were at fault, you shouldn't have done this. Whatever done is spilt milk. You cannot help it. But what can we do now at this particular point? So he is saying, what is he revealing? He is revealing various personalities. He is saying, I myself, Lord Shiva, all of you demigods, so the ones who have come to him for help. And that he is saying, the living beings born of perspiration, the living beings born of eggs, the living beings, again, the trees, the plants, sprouting from the earth, and the living entities born from embryos. So there are 4 kinds of living entities. He's revealing that in this verse. That's also knowledge. But then we have to realize the last part. All kind of living beings, they come from the Supreme Lord. Now, sometimes the later part may be misunderstood. When he says from his incarnation of Rajoguna, everyone would say, wow, we have actually come to the right shelter, because who's the incarnation of Rajoguna in Guna avatars? Lord Brahma, right? Maybe he's singing his glories. Lord Brahma, the Guna avatar. No, it is not that, my dear devotees. And then he is also saying, and from these great sages. Now, the demigods, they're in the mode of goodness, and they're always seeking advice from the great sages, the Saptarishis and many others, and the spiritual master is Brihaspati. Right? But then he's also, somebody can misinterpret this by saying that, okay, are the great sages who are part of me? So, of course, the great sages are born from Brahma, directly or indirectly. But it is not that Lord Brahma is glorifying himself. He is trying to identify that you all came to me because you think I can help you resolve it. But in reality, even Lord Shiva, and why is he saying Lord Shiva? Because they were cursed by Durvasa, who's an expansion of Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva has his own distinct position as Shiva Tattva. So we are Jiva Tattvas, living entities. Jivara Srupaya Kṛṣṇa Nityadas. But Lord Shiva is a Shiva Tattva. He's not Vishnu Tattva, he's not Jiva Tattva, he's a specific Tattva. He's not the internal potency, external potency related Shakti Tattva also. But he is saying, Lord Brahma is saying that we all come from the Supreme Lord, right? And then he says the important instruction. Let us therefore go to the Supreme Lord, take shelter of his lotus feet. Now, this last sentence makes the whole verse very clear. He's not glorifying himself. He is saying, even I am dependent on the Supreme Lord. Even Lord Shiva is dependent on the Supreme Lord. You all demigods, all living entities who are born of embryo, born from eggs, born from perspiration, as well as those who are born as, trees, plants and shrubs, all vegetation. We all come from the Supreme Being. And sometimes people, they talk about 8.4 million species of life, right? They say, who was counting that there were 8.4 million species of life? Well, it has been revealed in Padma Purana. So this is important aspect, that when Vedas and Puranas, they reveal something, we don't waste time by doing the research to prove them right or wrong. We just accept it as a truth and we go along with it, because it saves time, because the ultimate goal is to take shelter of Lord Kṛṣṇa, which is exactly what Lord Brahma is doing. And how do we take shelter of Lord Kṛṣṇa in our everyday life? We simply take to the chanting of the holy name. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So in Padma Purana, there's a beautiful verse that appears. Jalaja Navalakshani Stavara Lakshya Vimshati Kramayo Rudra Sankhaya Pakshinam Dasha Lakshana Trimshal Lakshani Pashvaha Chatur Lakshani Manushaha. So, Jalaja Navalakshani, Jalja, the aquatics. How many of them are there? Nava, 9, Lakshani, lakhs. 9 lakhs are aquatics. Stavara, the plants. When Stavaram is achar, that cannot move. So the plants, the trees, the shrubs, they are immobile. All the immobile things. And of course, this also includes the mountains, because once upon a time they could fly, but now today they are stable. How many of them are there? 20 lakhs. Right? Laksha Vamshati. And then Krimio is reptiles, those who crawl, the germs, right? How many are there? Rudra Sankhyaka. So there are 11 lakhs of them, of those reptiles and germs. And Pakshinam. So again, Pakshinam means again those who have wings. The birds. How many of them are there? Dasya Lakshanam. So there are 10 lakhs birds. And Pashus, right? These are the animals, the terrestrial animals that we know of. How many of them are there? There are 30 lakhs of them. And then finally, Manavaha. Manavaha is the descendants of Manu. Yes. So, descendants of Manu, including we human beings on this planet Earth, are of 4 lakh varieties. Sometimes people misunderstand this aspect also. They think, but there are billions of people in this world, now trillions of people in this world. And why do they say 10 lakhs? Well, there may be 10, when it's trillions of people, but the categories can be in 10 lakhs. Like I have this phone, and there may be other phones of the same category, right? Same model type. But when you look at the categories of phones, there are limited categories. And then there may be many instances of each, many phones of the same model, but they are in that category. So we are not counting how many phones are there, we're counting the categories. So similarly, we're finding the categories of human beings. And this includes the demigods as well as Kim Purushas and many sages. So we have to look from that widened view. So now what is happening? Right? So as we are revisiting this scene, right, with full precision, we are focused. And Parikshit Maharaj is also listening to this from Shukdev Goswami. And Sutta Goswami is revealing all this to the sages in Naimisharanya. And Vidwan Vidur is hearing this from Maitreya Muni. So all these conversations within conversations going on. So let's look at the demigods who have approached Lord Brahma. At one time, they had position, they had authority, yes, and they had celestial strength, right? But something subtle happened. What was that? Not a war first, not an offense, not an external enemy, a curse. A curse happened. Durvasa Muni cursed Indra, that he will be devoid of all opulence. Your opulence will be lost. He made it very clear. There is no battle yet. There is no asuras yet. The demons haven't appeared yet. Right? Just a subtle offense that is born from indifference, little carelessness. So, my dear devotees, this is calling our attention that how mindful we should be at every time. Sometimes we see devotees, we are observing Ekadashis and special tithis, special days, because that bring us closer to the Supreme Lord, Lord Krishna. Yet at the same time, sometimes by mistake, somebody takes grain or something that should not have taken, and then they go with the what the head effect, right? Yes, there was carelessness, but ask for forgiveness and continue to follow the vow. But at the same time, many people are not so strong or not so guided, not led in the right direction. Here, Lord Brahma himself is saying, let us go. It doesn't say you go. He's saying, let us go to the Supreme Lord for his supreme shelter, ASHRAYA. So, when they approach, Lord Brahma he's not saying, let us strategize against the demons, or let me go and chastise them. Let me use my influence. He's not saying, let us gather our strength and fight back, and I'll strategically lead you. Or he does not say, let me fix this, right? He's not saying any of those factors. Instead, he's revealing something that is very deep, very profound. And what is he saying? He's saying that you demigods, the asuras, he's including the asuras, the demons, he's including all kind of living entities, the four kinds of the way they are born. Those are the four categories: from embryo, from eggs, from perspiration, or the ones who are immovable, like the trees and plants. So all of them, insects, gems, everyone is included. And he says, let us all go to him. He's not saying only you demigods go to him. Let us all, whoever is gathered, let's all go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And of course, he goes to the shore of the ocean of milk, Shir Sagar, and he's meditating and praying to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Shirodakshai Vishnu. The one who resides, Shirodakshai. Shir refers to the ocean of milk, and there in the ocean on Dweep, the Lord is residing. So from this verse, something deeper is visible. What is visible? That this is a realization from humility. So Lord Brahma is helping the demigods understand that this is an important piece. It's very interesting that we all are doing our things very nicely, and then something bad happens to us. Like demigods, they're experiencing. The good thing is that they have taken to shelter of the higher power. They have not taken to the blame game. We're saying Indra is at fault. Because of him we lost. They are not saying that. Or they are not saying that, things were not properly arranged in our favor because Supreme Personality is residing everyone's heart as Paramatma. He should have guided us and he should have misguided the demons. Why did he not guide Indra at the time? Or why is he not guiding us? Why is he guiding the demigods? They did not use the blame game to the Supreme Lord, of course. That would have been a great offense. And when Lord Brahma is revealing that let us all go, it is helping us realize that when we think that we are independent, that's the time Lord makes us humble. The demigods did not turn to the Lord when they were powerful. They turned when their power failed. सुख में दुख में सुमिरन सब करें, सुख में करे न कोई, जो सुख में सुमिरन करे, दुख काहे को होए. Sant Kabir, he has said something very, Saint Kabir has said something very sweet. That at the time of distress, everyone remembers the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sumiran means remembering. And they call out to the Supreme Personality of Godhead for shelter. So if somebody is in distress, then they are calling out. But if they were in happy state, if they carried out at that time, then the distressful state will never occur. Does it mean that there will not be any issues in the life of a person who's remembering the Lord? No, that would be incorrect. Because that's like saying a person has been dropped in the ocean and now he is taking shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, continue to do their duty, and that they will not be hit by the waves. Yes, they will be hit by the waves. But then their state will be very different. They will have the guidance coming from within so that they can face the situation properly. Was Narayani Mataji, when she was discussing Srila Prabhupada, talking about the distresses in life, Srila Prabhupada said that you are in the middle of an ocean. This material world is called Bhavasagar, and all the waves are hitting you. So as a devotee, would you say that, oh, dear waves, I'm a devotee, don't hit me? No. The waves will still come, but then you will rise above them. You will understand that, this is the material nature. I need to respond to them. I need to make my way through them. And the easiest way is call on to the Sankirtan Yagya cruise. Yes, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So if you have taken a cruise, a last ship in your life, then you will realize that when somebody picks you up from the waters and brings you onto the cruise, all that effects, yes, the waves are still hitting, but nothing is happening. Everyone on the cruise is enjoying. They're all chanting the holy name. They're all dancing to the, kirtan, and they all engage in devotional service. So that is Sankirtan Yajna. So that's what we are talking about. Now let's dive deeper to this particular Bhagavad Gita verse 9.27. Yat karoshi. Whatever you do. So we as living entities, as souls, Jivera Swarupaya Krishna Nityadas. We are eternal servant of Lord Krishna. So we are meant to serve Lord Krishna. So all our actions should be dovetailed in the direction of Lord Krishna to satisfy his senses and his Rishikesha. So Rishikesha, Rishikena Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. So what is bhakti? Is of course proper bhakti is when we are serving the Lord of the senses, Rishikesha, and of course all our senses will also be satisfied. Yat Karoshi. Then we have material body, right? In one of the four varnas based on our actions, not by our birth, but by our nature and our actions. Those are the two things. The birth is the cause from previous lives' karmas that we have received the human birth. And actually, we are not even qualified to receive human birth. But Lord Krishna is so merciful that he grants us this birth so that we can go back home, back to Godhead. So, Yat Karoshi, all activities should be dovetailed in Lord Krishna's service. Yadashnasi. Now, sometimes people say, Yadashnasi is accepting food. This is to sustain our body. My dear devotees, to sustain our bodies, Lord is providing all the food grains. No matter how many scientists may come in, they can only combine the various genes of these food grains to create new kind of food grains. And believe me, in current times, the capitalists are causing havoc in this particular area, causing so much pain to humanity by doing their experiments just so that they can earn more money and make people addicted and short-lived. So that's the current state. Nevertheless, we have to understand that we cannot produce, on our own these grains. There was once a time that there's saying among the Christians, this is a very common thing, and also in Jews, that man becomes so intelligent that he can bring life. He can make a dead person alive. So he challenges God. And he says, let's have a competition. And God says, yes, let's have a competition. And what are we going to do? I'm going to do all the things that you have been doing, the creation and maintenance and so forth. So as soon as the competition starts and the man is about to prepare himself, God says, wait a minute. All that, earth, water, fire, ether, all that you are using is actually mine. Go and get your own stuff. Don't use my stuff. Then it was a fair game. And that's where, before the competition starts, the man has failed. That's our state. So whatever food we get that nourishes our body has to be first offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the original owner of all the grains, all the food stuff. It has to be offered with love. It should be prepared with love and offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And once we have offered it, and Lord Krishna in 9.26, what does he say? Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadham bhaktya upritam ashnami prayatatmana. That if a devotee offers me with love, patra, leaf, pushpa, a flower, phal, a fruit, toyam, water, when offered with love, I will accept it. That's all he's asking for. That doesn't mean that we eat nice stuff and just offer these things. Whatever we eat, in the next verse, Lord Krishna is saying, should be offered. But of course, there is a clear criteria that we should not be offering things that are abominable or should not be offered, right? Again, the four regulative principles guide us initially, and we should offer in the mode of goodness, things that are in the mode of goodness, not in the mode of passion or ignorance. Not too hot, not too sour, not too pungent, not stale food. These things should not be offered, not egg, non-veg, and so forth. So we have to offer what Lord wants. Anukulena Krishna, Anushilena. As Lord Krishna wants, and as we have been guided by the previous acharyas. So when we offer in that manner, then things are in proper alignment, my dear devotees. So yadashnasi. So since what we are getting to sustain this body, sometimes people just stop there. But in reality, to sustain our body, we need water. We cannot survive without water. In reality, if we don't have water, we can't even taste things. It is the taste in water that causes us to experience the taste. So the liquid has to be present for us to be able to taste something. And then Yat karoshi yadasnasi, yad jihoshi dadasi. Yad jihoshi means whatever you offer. And what does that mean? Sacrifice. We offer ourselves when we chant the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. My dear Lord Krishna, my dear Mother Radha, please engage me in your devotional service. We are asking for service by offering ourselves in return. So we are making an attempt because devotional service is a privilege. It is not a right. That is our nature. But then we have to work hard to be able to get that. So we make a sacrifice, we make an offering. And not just I, but also mine, things that belong to us. So they have to be offered with the right mindset, my dear devotees. And then dadasya, whatever you give away, something that you give away is called charity, right? Dan, punya. Sometimes, pious people refer to as that. So that's also, Lord Krishna says, yajna, dan, and tapa, they purify even the pure souls. So because we have this body, that is the sign that we have material consciousness, that we are in this material world. There is a reason why we are here. So we have to always engage in yajna, dan, and tapa. So Yad jihoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi, and austerities. And all austerities have to be performed for his pleasure. Sometimes, men in the family, the husbands, they work very hard all day and night. And they're saying, I'm sacrificing for my family. I'm performing all these austerities for my family. You are doing this for fallen soldiers? Where is your intelligence? All these are supposed to be performed for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and this is where the concept of interdependence comes. So, what is interdependence? It's a greater principle than independence. Yes, on 15th August, many times Brahmachari says, oh, yes, we celebrate, this is our day, because it's Independence Day. They forget that all the Grihasthas celebrate all 365 days as interdependence days, which is that every one of us in the family, we come together and we engage in devotional service, helping each other in the process. And we know this saying from India, this is a very common old saying, 1 + 1 is 11. Ek aur ek 11 hote hain. So that is the significance, that when this concept of interdependence comes in, where you help each other, that is a very great thing. And this is where Brahma is helping them understand that we are all dependent on the Supreme Lord. We are interdependent on each other. And we are never independent to begin with. So the Independence Day sometimes is misunderstood even by great personalities. We are never independent in reality. And those who think that they are really independent are sometimes driven by their mind. And they become Godas. Godas is servant of the senses. So when all the demigods, they had failed their power, then comes the real correction, right? Not just restoring power, but restoring understanding. My dear devotees, if we understand this, when the good times are there, then the bad times will not happen, because this is where this talk becomes very personal, right? We can relate to it. person to person. How often do we remember Krishna, right? Only when something goes wrong? Or only when something that happens is not as per our will? Is that the only time? Or are we remembering Him when everything is well? When we plan, we act, we decide, we control? No, no control. No, but when something collapses, we say, oh, Krishna, please help. No, that should not be the attitude. My dear devotees, I want to today focus on an acronym GUIDE, GUIDE. So we actually have seen what a guide is, right? When we are on a tourism trip or someone is acting as a guide, they help us go and see things we cannot easily see ourselves. They reveal the secret behind those things. Lord Brahma has taken not just the position of an acharya to lead them, but also to be their guide. And GUIDE helps us look at this from this perspective. So the acronym GUIDE, of course, the very topic of today's class is go to the Supreme Lord, right? So the Supreme Shelter, take the Supreme Shelter. And the 10 subject matters, basically, the 10 subject matters of Srimadbhagavatam is Atra Sarga Vitargascha Snanam Poshana Muteha Manvantare Shanu Katha Nirodho Mukti Ashraya. The last one is Ashraya, the Supreme Shelter. Atra Sarga Visargascha. Yeah. Sthanam Poshana Muteha Manvantare Shanukatha Nirodha Mukti Ashraya. So all the 9 subject matters are dependent on one subject matter, the supreme shelter. And here this particular supreme shelter is visible in every chapter of every canto. Yes, 10th canto is fully Ashraya. Yes, direct shelter. Yet here it is revealing to us that Ashraya is not just a momentary thing, it is spread across Srimad Bhagavatam. So G is like go to the supreme shelter, right? When crisis exposes our limits, we turn toward the inexhaustible Lord. And even when we are capable, we always stay, surrender to the Supreme Lord. Saint Augustine used to say, work as if everything depends on you, but pray as if everything depends on God. And prayer is part of everyday life. That's something we should always do. And how do we pray? Simply calling out to the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So my dear devotees, G is to go to the supreme shelter. And so Lord Brahma is guiding all these demigods to taking them to the supreme shelter. He's going with them. He's not saying you go. He's saying, come, let's go. Because he included himself and Lord Mahadev and all other living entities. And why is he doing that? This is the concept of you, because we have to understand universal dependence. Yes, while we living entities may have a relationship and use it for interdependence to help each other go towards the common goal, which is the supreme shelter, we still have to understand that universally we are all dependent on the Supreme Lord, Lord Krishna. He's very sweet, such a father. Even when we don't remember, he sustains us. Even when we don't show gratitude, he provides us on a day-to-day basis. Even the air we breathe, we can't see. Sometimes people say, can you show me God? And sometimes when such questions used to come, Srila Prabhupada said, at one time, do you have eyes to see God? At another time, there was this big man with gown and all, and he was standing and challenged Srila Prabhupada, can you show me God? Srila Prabhupada said, you know what, you're standing between me and God. So I cannot see God because you are in the way. And for our example, I could simply ask you, can you see air? But you can feel it, right? If wind blows, you can feel it. Can you see time? You can see a watch, but you don't know. You can't see time, how time's working. Can you, see sound? You cannot see sound, but you can hear music. Yes. So seeing is only one part of the 5 different indriyas. So we have to look at things from the right perspective and understand that there is a universal dependence, that everything depends on Lord Krishna. Even Brahma, Shiva, demigods, demons, humans, animals, trees and germs, reptiles, all of them depend on Lord Krishna. Now, in guide, I is also very important, because this is, I is, sometimes we say I am, so we may be referring to the body, right? So that may be identifying the covering of our consciousness. In Bhagavad Gita 4.3 verse, it reveals this particular aspect, that there are various kind of coverings. Trees cannot even move. Their consciousness is so less and so short-lived that somebody may pluck a branch and it feels the pain, but in the very next moment it forgets about that pain. It feels the pain, but it forgets about that a branch was cut. That's why vriksha means that is meant to be cut, right? That's the meaning of vriksha. Vriksha means tree. And so that's like embryo covered by the womb. Why? Because embryo cannot even move. That characteristic of not being able to move is like that of trees. But then, mirror covered by dust, yes, there is still that reflection quality is there, but not fully, because there is a covering of dust. That's like the animals and birds, because they can move, they have more consciousness, but they do not know. They cannot ask, who am I? Why is there suffering in this world? They cannot ask for atato brahma jigyasa. They cannot ask that initial question. While we, living entities, are considered like the fire that's covered by smoke. So there is consciousness, there is intelligence, there is inquiry, and so we can look at things with proper perspective and reflect on them. And that is the beauty, that we have much greater ability to rise and shine when we take to the chanting of the holy name. Then all this covering, all that smoke goes away, and we can take, the path to take the shelter of the Supreme Lord, Lord Krishna. So that is coming us to D, which is we have to develop human responsibility, right? Human life is the chance to kindle this fire, right, of Krishna consciousness under guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. My dear devotees, this last aspect is very important. I talked about 4.3, then 4.34 comes in, where we have to tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevya updekshanti tajnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. Tad vidhi. As per the process, pranipatena pariprashnena sevya, we have to take shelter for bona fide spiritual master, and we have to render service to the Supreme Master, spiritual master. Now, service can be done in 2 ways: Vapu Seva, Vani Seva. Vapu Seva is giving him, seva to his physical being, his body, his initiatives. And then Vani Seva is following his instructions. So that's also, and Vani Seva is superior to Vapu Seva. Following the instructions, following his examples. If he's preaching, we should be preaching more. If he's guiding us, we should be guiding more. And many times, disciple means one who is meant to be disciplined. We should be ready to discipline. Sometimes there's a tendency, a disciple would go and wants his spiritual master to just glorify the disciple. My dear devotees, that's the time the spiritual master has just cheated his disciple. Because the spiritual master's responsibility is only one, to make the disciple better. And by glorifying the disciple, he may be bringing out the proud feeling in the disciple's heart. That may cause the disciple to go astray or may not make further progress, while the focus is further progress. My dear devotees, many times when we are insulted, sometimes people feel anger. Sometimes they resist. In reality, they should understand that a guide, a mentor, a spiritual master is looking for them to improve from the anarthas that they have been holding on to so much for many, many lives, so that they can come closer to Lord Krishna. The more purification, the impurities is what is separating us from Lord Krishna. And as soon as these impurities go away, the distance closes. And this is what's the secret that's revealed in the Shastras. Lord Brahma is not taking them to Shir Sagar that Lord Vishnu is there. He is revealing to them that you have to let go of your pride. You have to be humble and you have to understand we are all dependent on Lord Krishna. My dear devotees, this is a very important step. So we should think about it. When somebody insults us or somebody criticizes us, we should not be immediately reacting to it or we should not become defensive towards it. We should first understand the role of that person. Is that person, sometimes people, they guide, you go and do this, you go and do that. Are they guiding it because of their role or because of their position? That makes a big difference. Somebody could be in a very influential position. They may be asking people to do things for them, using their influence to exploit others sometimes. And that may be a very negative thing. But at the same time, if in the spiritual service, somebody is engaging you, that is a great thing to have. Somebody is saying, do a spiritual activity, means they have just empowered you to perform that activity. You did not have any qualification before. They're empowering you. And when somebody is criticizing or identifying your faults, instead of resisting, we should be reflecting. How could have I done this better? Maybe I need to ask for guidance. How do I do this better? Could you help me understand? Could you show me? But then don't keep asking again and again and again, make it a repeated, then it loses its effect. Because we are not making any improvement, we're just asking the person and making them tired into doing things and then holding them in their spiritual progress, holding them to where we are instead of letting them advance from where they are. And Lord Krishna wants us to come closer to Him from wherever we individually are. So this is a very important aspect. Sometimes because of position, I have seen family members say, oh, you did not support me. Well, were you on the right ground to be supported? It is not that relationship should be the criteria, position should be the criteria. It is the role, the context, and how close do you want to come to Lord Krishna is the criteria. So we all have to reflect onto our behavior. So here, Indra means Brahma would have directly chastised Indra. And actually, Vishnu Puran, he does chastise Indra on this particular instant, but that he does it on a one-on-one basis. Doesn't do it in front of other crowd. Sometimes we see people who are criticizing others in a crowd, calling out to a person. That is the worst thing somebody could do. We have had so many examples even in our Sampradaya where the devotees, they deviated. And Srila Prabhupada, even he expressed that you have made it very difficult for that devotee to come back because you criticize such and such devotee publicly. And that should never be done. A devotee, if supposed to be corrected, should be corrected in a very loving manner, in a very tender, on a one-on-one basis, not in front of everyone. And when somebody is doing that on one-on-one basis, don't react to it, don't resist to it. Reflect on it, respond, yes, this is what I will do. And next time when you are giving that service, ask, is this the way you wanted it to be done? Or, could I have done better? Do you have any further guidance? Because it is for our advancement. When we are getting such opportunities to perform services, especially in devotional area and spiritual matters, we should be very much appreciative of those who are guiding us, who are helping us come closer to Krishna, who are helping us remove our anarthas. So that is develop human responsibility. And E is enter surrender through practice. My dear devotees, many times people, they read Bhagavad Gitas, they memorize all these verses and then they just want all the name, fame, and glories. And they're going out and calling out and big shots, and they have become such a nice speakers. When you ask them, how do I do deity worship? Like, oh, you have to pick up that book, get that book from Amazon, and you read it, and then you will understand it. One of the things that's very much clear right there is this person has not been performing any devotional service. When somebody says, how do I cook for the Supreme Lord? And the person cannot guide. Person has not been performing devotional service. Practice is the key, and practice starts with the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. My dear Lord Krishna, my dear Mother Radha, please empower me to engage in your devotional service. And when a service comes, we should perform the service. Yes, we all have faults, but we should do our best. But not be neglectful, not be careless. We have to be careful because that would cause negative emotion to arise in others, and that negative emotion could fire back very badly on us, just like it has fired back on Indra and all the demigods. He's the king of Indra. So again, how the way a king performs, the citizens suffer or they enjoy accordingly. So again, that's the reaction comes from the administrative side or everyone. So again, how a leader performs, it affects everyone who is praja. Praja means not just progeny, but also the people or even the living entities, not just human beings, but all of the living entities under the ruling of that leader, under the influence of that leader, under the domain of that leader. So, my dear devotees, this is something I wanted to share with you today. And now, sometimes you may feel like, okay, we want to enter surrender through practice. This has to become real through chanting, hearing, service, humility, and guidance. So, you should never look for guidance. So, what we covered today is from offense to curse, from curse to loss of strength, from loss of strength to defeat by the demons, and from defeat down to the humility. This is what the demigods are experiencing. And finally, Lord Brahma is taking that humility to the proper path of surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's exposing them, yet at the same time, without calling out, without name calling them, without giving them tags. He's helping them to come to the ultimate shelter. Right? So we all have to open our inner doorway to accept the guidance as it should be done. So the spiritual fall may begin with open rebellion, but with subtle carelessness towards sacred mercy, as seen in Indra's dishonoring of Durvasa Muni's garland, right? And crisis, it often reveals. What does it reveal? Dependence. That was always true, but previously ignored, hidden, rejected even, right? Why? Because we are in a comfortable state, we are in a powerful state, we are in a routine, following a routine, just like those demigods were following. And here, Brahma's humility is extraordinary. Why is it extraordinary? Because he includes himself in the need for shelter. He says, let us go. That includes himself. He's including himself. And all the living entities, from demigods to trees to herbs to insects, they share one ultimate source, Lord Shri Krishna, and they have one ultimate shelter, Lord Shri Krishna. Whether they accept or reject, that doesn't matter. A father never stops loving the children. And in Bhagavad Gita, we saw why? Because of the difference of consciousness in 3.38 verse, the living entity forgets that shelter because of the different coverings of our consciousness. Just like fire is covered by smoke, mirror is covered by dust, and embryo is covered by the womb. And the soul should never be confused with this covering. Why? Because the dust on the mirror is not the mirror. We have to understand. We can remove the dust from the mirror of our heart through the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, which reveals our true nature, which is our true dharma, the very intrinsic quality we possess. Intrinsic quality of a sugar is that it is sweet. So our intrinsic quality is Jivera Surupaya Krishna Nityadas, that we are eternal servant of Krishna. So we look from that perspective, yet at the same time, we seek guidance, right? Guidance is essential because the mind cannot reliably diagnose its own coverings. We need someone else from outside the mirror to come and clean the mirror. We on our own cannot do that. But when does surrender truly become real? We can talk about the 6 limbs of Sharanagati. But when does it enter daily practice? Through chanting, through hearing, through honoring prasadam, through serving devotees. Remember, yat karoshi yadashnasi yat juhoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kante yat tat kurushva madarpanam. Arpana, offer it to Lord Krishna. And the safest life is not life with no problems, my dear devotees. It is the life lived under Krishna's shelter. That is the safest life and the best life. Hare Krishna. Devi, would you like to add anything? Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhagavad ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai. Devi, please.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So, here we are clearly seeing from this pastime in this verse that demigods, this is yet another instance where demigods, they lose their strength. We read that Indra lost his opulence, and how asuras, they seem like they became more powerful, and all this, when all this crisis is going on, Brahmaji, he doesn't allow defeat to become despair. So I'm thinking he turns defeat into direction, and Srila Prabhupada explains that. So we get this beautiful insight, the beautiful lesson that it is possible to turn losses into surrender. You talked about ASHRAYA. So here Brahmaji, he turned helplessness into prayer. And this is the mercy of Srimadbhagavatam for us. These Srimadbhagavatam gems, which are our companions for life. And these gems are teaching us that even when strength is gone, shelter is still there. And even when our consciousness is covered, the soul can help us remember with these beautiful teachings. Even when we forget Krishna, Krishna does not forget us. So when life, brings adversities, when we know what our shortcomings are, when the mind, we should not wait thinking there will be a perfect stage or time when perfectly mind will be in control. We should just, irrespective of anything, let's turn to inexhaustible Lord. Let us turn to the lotus feet that Brahmaji, Shiva, demigods, those lotus feet, they are the soul for all living entities. And let us learn to transform our pride to humility, our forgetfulness to remembrance, from this feeling of false independence to dependence on Krishna. So that will help us remember how to go from fear to shelter. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Kansa Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Paad ki jai, Srila Bhagavad Paad ki Janant Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai, Go Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Om Tat Sat. Have a wonderful week in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. See you next week.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.